What is the name of our show?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Large Glass. My name is Todd.
I'm Terri.
And this is our weekly show where we bring you a new artist or art-related theme to talk about. How's it going? It is finally Tuesday night, and we are here. Who's here? Let's see. Christina McKinnon is here. Mom is here. Hi to both of you.
Hi, Mom.
Joseph Barbacci is here. Jess Park is here. Audrey, 63. John Park. Good to see all you guys. Thanks for showing up as usual.
Yeah.
Dave is here. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
I got to tell you guys, the newsletter that went out today.
Oops.
Yeah, I think we're just going to sit here and we're going to make fun of ourselves for about the first 5 minutes of the show because it was, yeah, there were a few things we missed on that one.
That's okay.
That's my fault.
Well, it's my fault too. Every time we send it out, I'm like, ooh, there's a little glitch that I've done. So
I mean, it basically what happens is in the newsletter we have a divided role. Terri does the writing for the introduction and talks about the artists that we're having on that week, and then I take care of all the little, like links and the pictures and the upcoming artists and all of that stuff.
Yeah. And I usually work at 4 a.m., so I'm highly under-caffeinated, but I try my best, so.
Well, and so what happens inevitably is we look at it, we're like, it's good to go, we send it out, and then we're like, oh, God, this happened. So this week was extra special. Yeah. You could just ignore it if you want to. Christina says, Ron says hello, too. He can't wait to say hello to his former sculpture professor. That's awesome. Joseph wants to know, how do we get the newsletter? Joseph, I have a link for that, actually, that you can sign up for it. I kind of only want to give you that link after this one's gone. But what I'll do is I'll find a way to put that in the chat, and hopefully I can do that tonight. If not, how can I get that to Joseph?
Oh, he's on Instagram.
Joseph, we're going to send you a link. We'll send you something. We'll DM you on Instagram. Mm-hmm. All right? Cool. So what else do we have?
We have a new edition.
We do have a new edition.
It's very cool.
It is so freaking cool. And I can't actually physically hold the real one up for you because it's got some green in it and it messes with the green screen. Although I did bring along a nice picture. So the cocktail alphabet for our enamel pin has begun and we have started producing these. A is for absinthe. Right? So these are now done. It's a limited edition of 100. You can get it on our website. And if you order it before tomorrow, you can use a coupon code Duchamp22, all one word. Get you $2 off that pin. Start collecting them now because we're going to do B and C and D and E and all of them.
And then you can make words on your lapel.
Yeah.
Mix it up. Wordle's really hot right now.
You can spell alcoholic on your...
Well...
All right, that was done in bad taste. Look, Carolyn Thau's here, and she bought hers. There's Glenn Lavere, too. He's here. Marsolis can confirm. Very jazzy pin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know who that is.
Do you?
Yeah, Marsolis is one of our moderators, and I gave Marsolis a pin today. So thanks for the plug on the pin there. Ben Hagenbush is here. Good to see you. We need to toast.
We do.
So
tonight's beverage.
Tonight's beverage is already made.
Already made.
Believe me, this lime is not black. That's the green screen, and that's disgusting.
Oh yeah, we've got black limes.
Black limes tonight.
Oh dear.
Green screens do have their drawbacks. I'm making a move for some other system, but anyway, tonight's artists are from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and we decided on. They are self-described tequila aficionados. I won't use the word they used. But aficionados. And so we decided to go with margaritas. I felt like my Patron Silver might be a little pedestrian in the face of someone who really knows what they're talking about. But it's okay. We were told it's okay. So got a couple of margaritas.
These are actually very beautiful. I wish you could see the green, though.
Instead of this black lump in here. Anyway, episode 79.
79.
Welcome back. Nice to have you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Let us know what you're drinking in the chat. Well, that's not a good sign.
That's tangy.
It's tangy. It's nice and tangy.
It's tangy.
63 says, looks like a lump of coal.
It does.
And let's see, Joseph Barbaccia's got a red blend. David Backus is here. Good to see you, buddy.
Hello.
It's with Estella as usual. And your backup to this is...
So I'm also drinking Estella as well.
Because she doesn't want my margarita.
It's a school night, so I gotta be careful. I gotta show up tomorrow morning for work, and yeah.
I understand.
Yes. I'm here in spirit, so that's what counts.
Exactly. Quick announcement for those of you that are going to be in and around the New York area. Our very own and my good friend Jim Osman will be having an opening tomorrow night at Mackenzie Fine Art, 55 Orchard Street, Manhattan. Solo show, all new work. It looks fantastic. Tomorrow night, 6 to 8. That show is open until April 3rd. I'm going to try and make that tomorrow night. I'm going to, grab the kids off the bus and drive straight to Manhattan, hit that show, and then come home. But it really looks great. So make your way over to Mackenzie tomorrow night at 6. That's going to be an awesome show. So,
Yeah.
Anyway. Do we have any other business to discuss before we get down to...
I think so. We have the 100 Art Tour coming up.
We do.
April 30th, May 1st weekend. We will have our studio open May 1st.
Yes, May 1st. You can come and visit us. And we'd love to see you. You'll get to see some of our work. By the way, speaking of our work, which we don't talk about really on the show, there was a very nice article published in a local magazine about Terri and I and our show and our work. So in Bridgewater City Lifestyles magazine and Somerset Hills City Lifestyles magazine, they did 2 articles that are the same but different in 2 separate magazines on us for the March issue.
They're a little different?
They're a little different in the way the photography was done and the layout.
Know that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to have to go
It's
look.
kind of nice that there's a variation there. But John Park says we're going to be there.
Oh, nice.
Nice. That's awesome. And Shirley Perlinsky is here. Nice to see you, Shirley. Thanks for coming. We're staying close to where we were before, but on the Pennsylvania side. That's lovely.
Okay, nice.
And you'll get to actually, on Saturday, you'll get to go see all the Western Hunterdon County artists in Frenchtown and Lambertville and that whole region. So you guys are going to love that. I don't know when you're going to show up, but there's a big event Friday night to kick it off at the Hunterdon Art Museum in Clinton, New Jersey. So you definitely want to make that. We'll be there. And I think it's going to be a really good time. So anyway, should we get on with the order of the evening? Should we kind of start to talk a little bit?
Yeah, we'll start talking a little bit.
Can I actually, every Tuesday night, you introduce our artists so articulately and beautifully and thoughtfully and with all of your notes, which I love. But can I just say one thing before you jump into that?
I don't know.
About, about Don and Lisa.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No, I don't want to say something about you. I'm not about to put you on the spot here. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Carolyn Thao says, don't forget Whittemore, that event on Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on at Whittemore CCC. You'll notice their logo, which is right down there. I can't point. Right there. And you definitely want to get over to Whittemore CCC in Oldwick, New Jersey, and go and see what they have going on during the tour. Those events will all be listed on their website. We will definitely plug that next week. We'll throw the website right up on the screen so you can see it, and you'll be well prepared for that. So thanks for that reminder, Carolyn. All right, so I have to say this before we introduce our artists tonight. Tonight we're featuring Don Kennell and Lisa Adler, and I just wanted to throw in one thing. And Christina McKinnon just said earlier that Ron, Christina's husband, is eagerly awaiting to talk to Don because Don was his first sculpture professor. Don was also my first sculpture professor, and I have to tell you that I could not say I would be where I am today without what he did for me. And so I'm like, there's like a special, and 63 says mine too. So we've got a little thing going here where we all have a special connection tonight, which I kind of love. And I have to throw out the major big, props to Don for that, for me. And I know for many of you. So that's a big thing. And now I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. All right. Well, you kind of know who's popping on our show tonight. But tonight's artist duo joins us from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Although they both met as graduate students at Rutgers University in New Jersey, He studied art while she studied the social sciences. Their first collaborative piece began with an art car, a piece that was created for Art Matters in New York City in 1995, which I remember.
I do too.
I know, it was
That art
rad.
car was just awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. This became an interactive attraction in which they toured, met strangers, took pictures, and mailed postcards. Together they created DKLA Design. Don makes design drawings and leads the fabrication crew. Lisa focuses on the community engagement. Today they work on large installation pieces that travel to both the East and West Coast. Their sculptures become the interactive backdrop at festivals like Coachella. Please welcome Don Kennell and Lisa Adler.
Hi guys, how's it going? Don't forget to unmute, by the way, so while you're there. We don't want to. There you go. There you go. Hi guys.
Hey!
It's good to finally have you two. It's nice to see
So
you.
awesome to be here, man. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, no, it's the honor's ours having you here. Believe me, it's so good to see you and talk to you again.
Back at you.
Absolutely. So you have some love here. There's a lot of stuff going on in the chat talking about how rad the art car was, and everybody's throwing their props to you. So
Wow, love you guys. Hey, Ron.
Yeah, looks like Lynn is here too.
and Lynn Mazer is here as well. So
Yay!
so and Bill as well. Bill Machold is here. Bill at RVCC, I should say. I don't want to throw some the names out there. I just want to be careful. So.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for coming on the show. A lot has changed since we have all, sort of been around each other in person. You've moved, you've done some amazing things together. So you always love to start out with kind of having people just kind of talk about what they do as a general topic, right? To kind of throw it out there.
Yeah.
Well, you like to ask it your way.
And I also want to remind people, if you have questions for Don and Lisa, just type them in the chat. We'll eventually get to them. We can pin them on the screen. But usually how we start off with is we just ask the artists, we know what you do, but we like to have you tell us what you guys do, like how your process works and everything like that.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, in a nutshell, what we do is try to bring joy to the world. And we try to do that with an active participation of the viewer. We want to sort of engage the viewer and make them sort of live in a theatrical moment with our work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, our artistic practice really focuses on nature and community. And so we make these monumental animals that are, larger than life. And part of that is to, stop people in their tracks and make them kind of deal with this very surprising creature. Mm-hmm. And what that does is, it takes people out of their daily lives to create the opportunity for people to connect with nature. We are animals, we are in nature, and, we are separated from that to our peril. And so part of the focus in terms of the iconography and the images that we use are to provide that opportunity for people to stop for a second and think about the relationship that humans have with the other creatures that we share this planet with.
I love that. And, I had struggled a little bit with the order of things in this and the direction that we would go. But given that you are talking about stopping someone in their tracks, maybe we start with something big. Like what's going on right behind you right now. I feel like we could kind of go there and then kind of circumnavigate around some other pieces. But this will give people an idea of sort of where, you start off. Is that okay? Can we start there?
Sure.
Dawn loves to make giant things. And it's really funny. I have a joke, that, we moved to Santa Fe over 20 years ago. And Dawn we had a little studio in our house. And yeah, my joke is that Don can make a 30-foot sculpture in a 31-foot studio.
Yeah.
I'm like a goldfish,
it just gets bigger and bigger. And
I just grow to the size of space that I have access to.
Right.
And,
Right.
You know, but you know, scale has always been a big part of my work, and big part of our work as a company today. It certainly is very central. And scale just it does this thing where it creates a very theatrical moment. And with our sort of imagery, yeah, it sort of flips the script on the viewer. You know, usually man has dominion over nature, right? That's the line, right? Mm-hmm. That's in the Bible. But what we like to do is make these images of nature really large, and it kind of flips the script.
Absolutely.
You know, animals become big, and suddenly as a viewer, you have to deal with this potentially threatening situation.
Right. Well,
that's the other thing. He likes, you know, it to be a little ambiguous in terms of, oh, is this a big fluffy kitty or is this a big scary panther, you know, that's going to kind of get you. But, you know, just kind of I want to go back to this idea about people's, you know, people long for this connection, to feel that connection with nature. And that's one of the things that we're trying to produce with this work. I mean, this piece here is called Ram Jam. It was commissioned by Coachella. It's in the camping field, which is, you know, Coachella is just this, you know, massive human, you know, force of technology and partying and
music and art, you know. Yep. I mean, these guys spend millions of dollars every year commissioning new artworks from international artists. We are actually kind of the small little crew from New Mexico. I mean, we've done 6 projects for Coachella, and we're super honored to be there.
Wow.
Because they really bring in some amazing people. But we have been doing a series of desert animals for them. You know, we've done a road runner, a bear, the ram jam, the mountain sheep here.
And it creates this kind of contrast, right? Where you have this literal mob of humans, but you have this image of a giant creature, and people really respond to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There's so many questions going around right now, and the primary one is around size, which is why I threw this image up there in the hopes that it would sort of convey that. But what is the measured height of something like this, just so that we can really get a feel?
This piece is 22 feet tall.
Okay. I think it's 24,
24 feet. Yeah, I'm always a little fuzzy on this stuff. Yeah, it's big. You know, you can easily walk under the belly of this piece. It's funny, you know, our first piece for Coachella was a sort of a new version of a piece that you've seen, Todd. The
New Brunswick Karma,
the dog with the porch swing.
Yeah, yeah.
Built at Raritan Valley Community College.
I remember it well.
We tore the fence down to get it out, and it was at Rutgers for a while. And we did a new version of that in 2014, I think. And that was, we submitted that to Coachella on a whim, and they accepted it. And that's how the ball got rolling with those guys. And then every year they're like, we want another piece, but can you make it bigger? Can you make it bigger?
Wow.
And you know, this year we're premiering, you know, the Mustang, you know, which is 27 feet tall and 44 feet long.
Now this is a smaller Roadrunner. I mean,
right.
Of course, in New Mexico, it's a very popular image. We do a lot of Roadrunners. we have, and this one is also made from recycled materials. The ram is not from recycled, but that's a kind of another part of the vision of the company is, using recycled materials to, demonstrate this transformation where you take something that is garbage, it's been discarded, and you turn it into art. You give something new life. You create something that's beautiful and has a lot of possibilities and potentialities to it. And so this is something that needs to happen on a grand scale. I mean, we do it in this very, very teeny way, but it really needs to be mirrored, beyond the art world, right? I mean, the transformation of our practices as a society.
Right. And these questions that keep popping up around size in the chat, which are everything from how big is this to things like the significance of size, which I think you're getting at when you're talking about things like stopping a person in their tracks, flipping the table on man's dominion over nature. But there's always been something done that I've sort of felt about your work and size, and its presence that like I remember. What was the name of that piece? Hold on, it's going to come to me. Mother Courage. You made a massive teapot. It was gargantuan. I don't have an image of that, but there was also something about size there. So does size play another role in the work that goes beyond the things we've talked about already?
Well, it really is this kind of notion of theatricality,
Yeah.
and it, it has a lot to do with installation art, right? Just putting something that the viewer can step into and become part of. And it's a very subtle thing, but it's really important for us because we want to make this connection between nature and the viewer. And scale is a way for the viewer to feel part of the work. They, a lot of our pieces actually are interactive. They have swings, or you can climb on them. But even pieces that don't have that, the sheer scale of them activates space around them, and they become this kind of stage that focuses the attention sort of back to the viewer. And this is really crucial for us because we want to engage people. We're asking for their most valuable commodity, right? Their attention, their time. And I think all art sort of is striving for that. It's we live in a very complex world. We're bombarded with imagery. We're bombarded with messages, and it's a competition. And we're asking the viewer to participate. And it's great to show something like this. And so this piece, that we built for the Philadelphia Zoo for a show they were doing with recycled artists, an international show of artists from all over the world. And we were invited to submit this piece. And, it's a gorilla made out of car hoods holding a car door, but it allows the viewer to kind of engage. You can sit with it, you can get next to it. It's a photo op. And that's really important, because we feel like the viewer is able to walk away with a memory, with a story. And that's what we're trying to do is create opportunities for personal narrative.
Well, and the social engagement, right? Where something like the Blue Gorilla, they're drawn to it for that, interactivity, but they have that picture. And then you have all these different people who have the same picture. And so, it kind of creates this community. I mean, it's like the art car in a sense that, we did that back in the day before everybody was carrying a camera in their pocket.
Right.
But now, everybody, people want to engage, and then they have this kind of shared experience. even though they're coming into it, from an individual perspective. And just in terms of that other photograph with all the kids, we love I mean, these kids totally get it. They're all about, getting on the gorilla, and it just creates this energy and this excitement. And, we really, love to build for this audience.
Well, because I also feel like there's an authenticity in the reaction to the work by this audience, right? It's like they're not all caught up in what the thing means. They're not all caught up in what they're supposed to do or not do with it. It's just like, oh my God, I can't wait to be with that.
Yeah. It's not like typical.
Well, and the thing is about this too, it's the Western lowland gorilla, and the zoo was focusing in this show on these species that are endangered. So that's a big part of that messaging of, these species may not be around when these people are grown, to our age, and that's a problem. And these kids, they totally get that.
Right.
And we're trying to really, make an impression. I mean, once again, this is what art is trying to do. But, we love sort of the way this big work can really change things for a young person.
Yeah.
They walk away with a memory. They walk away with the understanding that, humans are capable of producing something that matters to other humans. And that's really important to us, and we like that level of accessibility, and we love this audience.
But there's also something in the notion of the material that you make these things out of that shifts it away from what's genuinely realistic, right? So, we could make a large scale gorilla that would remind these kids exactly of the gorilla. But this now takes it into a material transformation that kind of gives it a twist. It gives it an angle that makes the experience that much richer. Or how do you find that they react to the material changes when they're asking you questions about that?
Well, it's like Lisa says, we're, we really, move materials. I mean, that's really a big thing for me. It's always been a big thing for me. We now work with a crew, and everyone is bought into this idea that our human labor that goes into transforming a bunch of flat steel, a bunch of car hoods into something that really has a life, right? Something that seems alive. That is transformation, and that is a big thing for us. We want to demonstrate that humans are capable of this idea of transformation, and so we transform materials, and we do believe, I mean, I think this is the magic of art, right? Is that you can take linseed oil with pigments and make something that is transcendent. And we like to think that we strive to do that with steel, car hoods, car parts, found objects, plain parts. But it is fundamentally about transformation, about sort of like unleashing human potential to make something profound or make a difference.
Right. There's some cool stuff coming up in the chat. Bill is saying a lot of things about the Coffee Break show and the work you did with Ann Sabota being fantastic. He also mentions that that's art. It's not the highbrow, what it costs or what it's worth. It's really what it about what it conveys and the message. And then let's see, Joseph Barbaccia saying that all the work we've seen is representational. Have Don and Lisa ever worked abstractly? That's a good question. I don't have anything loaded in that. Well, I have.
Well, we do in the beginning, but it's a little bit. It's a different.
It's
vibe.
A very different world. So I'm not going to put it up there until maybe we bring it up. But what about? Have you done abstracted work before, or?
Sure, I have, and for me, the work is very representational. I really like where we're at right now with the work we're doing, because I think there's it's we're interested in shape and line and color and pattern and these very abstract ideas. And if you sort of isolate on some small part of the sculpture, that's all there.
If you go on the Phoenix,
now we're not, sort of engaged with these kind of, modernist traditions about, these kind of reductive traditions that lead to, amazing art, but that's just not really what we're, dealing with as artists.
Yeah, the birds, we do have smaller works that go on the wall, they're more gallery pieces, and they're, the birds, they're not, they wouldn't be considered abstract artworks. They still have the form of birds. You can see that they're birds, but they're inspired by those formal questions that Dawn was just saying, line, shape, and color. That's the bread and butter of artists. It's line, shape, and color. And you put them together and you want to make something that sings. And but mostly, we're in this other game, which has to do with public art. I mean, not that there's not great abstract public art. Obviously, most public art is abstract. And I think it's only, been recently that you see more things that are in the public realm that are more representational. And I think that, people, they respond to, like, I've said this already, just, it's that connection with the natural world.
Right.
That's,
well, go ahead.
That really is our game.
Sure. No, that makes total sense.
Well, I have a couple of questions, and some of them are kind of related and some of them aren't. I think environment plays a major factor in where you're installing some of these, because when you move them around, the meaning completely changes. Like when we see the polar bear, especially, if you put him in a nice green environment, it's totally different from leaving him in the desert. And then this was actually my other question here too. Like when you work and process, this seems to be a smaller model of one of your larger pieces. Is that how you originate an idea? Do you work from sketchbooks? Do you do models first to kind of problem solve and then expand upon it? Or how does that work?
Yep. It's very, I'm a very old school artist in that sense. We start with a sketch and then we build a maquette, and then, we often build a slightly larger version. With the polar bear, this was such a large piece. I mean, this is a 35-foot tall sculpture, weighs 22,000 pounds. It's engineered to be freestanding. We built it to travel. We knew that we were going to travel this piece. We wanted to bring it, around and kind of perform this piece, in a sense. The traveling of this sculpture was meant to kind of be like a polar bear traveling, looking for allies. That's the narrative behind this piece. It's called Longview. But, there's a lot of demands to bring a piece like this to multiple locations that you don't know where it's going when you're building it. We didn't have it all planned out. We were just like, we'll build it and then we'll figure it out. So it had to be, engineered to be safe, to be freestanding, to travel on semi trucks. I mean, we premiered this piece at Burning Man in 2018 on this desert playa. And that was a big deal because we knew that the power of this image of a polar bear standing in the middle of a hot, dusty desert was really going to pack a punch. And that it was very important. We wanted to take advantage of that environment. And then a mere few weeks later, this piece traveled to San Francisco, and was installed at the Embarcadero, which is like the Times Square of San Francisco, right? It's this plaza in front of the ferry building. It's the busiest intersection in San Francisco. And it was there for the Global Climate Action Summit that Jerry Brown, the governor of San Francisco, was hosting. The governor of California, that was hosting, to try to keep momentum moving on the issue of climate change during the Trump presidency, as Trump pulled out of the Paris Accords,
right. Right.
And, that context was very important as well. I mean, yeah, sure, it was a polar bear in an urban environment, but it was really the context of the Global Climate Action Summit that was, such a big deal for us to get the bear there.
Gotcha. So, I love hearing a little bit about the various challenges in moving your sculptures, in maybe even getting your sculptures to be accepted, to be part of some, either festival or even a public place. What are some of the, I don't think we've never really done a public artist on the show before. So what are some of the big challenges? How do you guys function as a team in terms of getting the work out there? What are the challenges that you sort of have? And what would be like the hardest thing to deal with, maybe?
Well, I tell you, it's not necessarily the hardest thing, but the thing that has been the most rewarding with touring the polar bear has been the collaboration that we've experienced with these other groups in different cities. And currently Longview is in Reno. That's the 8th city that it's been to. And it's been to Toronto. That earlier picture is from Calgary, Las Vegas, Philadelphia. And the thing that's been so fabulous is that, people want it.
Yeah.
People contact us. They want the polar bear because, they love it. People love polar bears. And if you see it, it blows your mind. And what people, these different, festivals or organizers, what they are willing to do to bring the polar bear to their city is it just, really warms our hearts. And it's not easy. I mean, this thing takes 2 semi trucks.
Oh my gosh.
It's, 2 semi trucks, a forklift.
Is this one of the pieces that was made out of airplane parts? Is this?
Yeah, this is out of car hoods as well. And the thing with the car hoods is, animals disappear to make room for our cars. And the point of the polar bear made from car hoods is, it is that connection with the carbon footprint. I mean, the ice is melting. A world without polar bears is necessarily a smaller world. And,
for sure.
That's how I feel. And a lot of other people feel that way. And that message, it really comes through. But yeah, it's been difficult to move it around. I mean, we feel lucky that it has kind of a 4-year gig right now in Reno. But it's hard. There's no doubt.
I would say,
Don set it up in Toronto. They have a light festival there in January. I don't know I guess when you live in Canada, it's just kind of like we do shit in the middle of winter because that's how it is. I'm originally from California, so I'm like,
you guys probably didn't acclimate to that very well, I'm guessing.
Out there with the crew building this thing in the snow. It comes apart into 8 pieces, but it's built like a tower. And so it's
but I would, for other artists, I mean, I've always been interested in public space. It happened to me very early as an art student at the University of Houston. And there was a lot of effort among artists to just get out of the gallery and get on the streets. This is, where the art car came from. Houston is a mecca for the art car. They have the world's largest art car parade. And it was this thing of like, rather than paint on a canvas, we'll paint on a car and we'll drive it around. And you have that kind of audience, and that lesson and experience just really imprinted on me, and I fell in love with that dynamic, that idea that art's for everybody, that it's a social activity, that it's a social conversation, and so I'm a big proponent of, get your work out, on the street in these non-traditional venues. It's very, do it yourself. It's, and, as all art is, right? I mean, there's no easy path.
Right.
There's no one knocking on your door calling you, hey,
give us your art.
You have to hustle, but I really found a lot of rewards as an artist by presenting work in the public and surprising people and engaging people, in their day-to-day.
Because, it creates this opportunity for community that so many people are searching for, like these collaborators that we've worked with to take the bear around, that's their bottom line. That's what they're all looking for. They want to create a sense of community in their spaces, in their city. And that's the thing about space, space, it makes certain things possible or it makes certain things impossible. And so when you create a space with art and you draw people together to kind of be amazed or to have wonder.
I love that.
In awe of something, it just creates this opportunity for social engagement.
Yep.
And that's what we have been finding in our work, whether it's it's a festival or whether it's a building, a rec center, it's people want a reason to come together.
I'm glad you're mentioning that right now, because that's making me think of the two videos that we want to show, the two quick videos, because I love the energy at the send-off for your one piece that we're going to show. And how you can really get a sense of not only the people that you work with, but the people that surround you almost in an event-like fashion as something that's about to leave. Now, I did bring up this Philly piece first, and we do have a terrific video of that I would love to show. Do you guys mind if I cut to that just to show that really quickly? Because I think that really does a beautiful job of giving a sense of scale. So just give me a second on that, and I'm going to pop over to that for everybody to see. But everybody take a look at this. Now, of course, we don't have any sound on this, but I think this camera work does a really nice job of really capturing the grandiosity, some of the textures present. There's a ton of questions we have to get caught up in the chat, but sure. I love this imagery of this work.
Yeah, thanks. This was, our latest project that is going to premiere in April at Coachella. It's a Mustang. Coachella happens on these polo fields. And so there's this huge kind of horse community there year round.
Okay.
Which was a big deal for them. But, obviously a horse it's just, as an artist, it's one of the, top 10 subjects, right?
I think it's only number 2 to humans.
Yeah.
Right.
to naked ladies. And so, it's kind of great as a sculptor to be able to, dip your toe into that tradition and see what you can do. Mm-hmm. Once again, the guys at Coachella, the people there are just always, every year they've kind of upped the ante. And this is one of the largest pieces we've ever done. It's 27 feet tall and 44 feet long.
Is that your storage yard in the background where you keep materials?
Well, we rent from a door company, so
Yeah.
that's actually their
Oh,
storage
there's
Yeah,
the
area.
panther too.
Yeah. Wow.
They're very, they're dear friends, and they're very supportive of our work. You can see in this shot, the polar bear is actually there at the moment. The panther.
Mhm.
the polar bear's in pieces.
On the
All that
ground.
white stuff next to the panther.
So we just
This was
rent a
during
small portion of the back building. This is a
Yeah.
door company that makes custom
They're called
doors.
La Puerta originals. I'll give
Gotcha.
a plug. If you're in Santa Fe and you want a really fancy door, our landlord.
That's great.
They're great people, and they
They
really
love the work.
they just support us to no end. And
They were just heartbroken when the horse went away, because this was commissioned for 2020 Coachella,
Mm.
which was canceled. 2021 was canceled. There's Dawn. And so this lived in our studio yard for almost a couple of years, and everybody fell in love with it, and we're pretty heartbroken when it got shipped off to Coachella.
I gotta say though, that picture of Don in front of that horse. Don, are you like 6'4", 6'5"?
6'6", baby.
6'6". So that's
Just some
impressive.
perspective.
I'm gonna throw one more video up here that we could talk about it. This one really sort of gets to the energy that's around the work. I love this video. But we could keep talking because I want to update you on a couple of the things that are popping up in the chat. First of all, Joseph Barbaccia asked earlier, would you two consider some comparisons to Christo and Jean-Claude and the way they kind of interact with, the public sphere? And at the same time, there's a question from John Park who's asking, what are your influences? Who do you love? Any connections or influence with John Chamberlain's thought processes or work materials, etc.?
Yeah. Well, sure. I mean, Christo's a huge inspiration for me, one of these touchstone artists, that was engaged with public space, and in a really beautiful way and in a profound way. And, his materials belie a deeper story. And we like to think that we have that going on as well. I just have to say, this was a very cold, windy day in Santa Fe, and we wanted to sort of send a video to our partners in Camden, New Jersey, of this kind of love that the piece had, because this piece was also delayed a year because of COVID, and
it was a part of this show in Camden, New Jersey, that was designed to address illegal dumping in Camden, which I don't know if people are aware of, but Camden suffers because towns around Camden come into Camden and dump their garbage in the city. And the city has to spend literally millions of dollars to remove garbage in Camden. And so
this was part of this show called A New View Camden, and they commissioned 6 artists to bring big artworks to these sites where garbage was being dumped.
Wow.
And it was an amazing project. We felt so honored to be part of this, and one of the big things that are dumped in Camden are car parts. And so we loved how the Panther, which is made out of car hoods, these are all black car hoods.
With the original factory paint.
That are bolted to an armature. I mean, the head and the feet are new steel, but, to take these materials and kind of transform them into an image of a protector, a sort of a guardian of this site in this poor neighborhood that, just saw piles of trash.
That's right. I mean, it's what I was saying before about space. It's like the space affects humans' psyche and emotions and how they feel about living in their space.
Right.
And so
these brilliant organizers in Camden, were just so amazing because they harness the power of art, of public art, to go into these neighborhoods and change the script,
That's
flip
right.
the script. These are not dumping grounds. These are places where people can gather,
where art is.
and we can celebrate our community. And the Panther was just, really part of that. And we didn't know at the time, the high school in Camden, their mascot is the Panther.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Perfect.
And so,
That's beautiful.
And so after the show was just a temporary show that went through the spring and the summer, and it was all kind of taken down in the fall. But we were, again, very lucky, honored to have the Panther be moved to a permanent location across the street from the high school.
Gotcha.
That's great.
So this thing is now living in Camden permanently.
All right.
I love that.
A stone's throw from the high school.
Yeah. And these, I tell you, these organizers were such visionaries. They were, just to see that, that connection, the realization that art has this power to, transform a city. It's
a community.
It
was amazing. It's like that brass ring moment. It's like, yes, art freaking matters. And it can do things.
Right.
And I don't know. It was just, yeah.
It was a privilege to be a part of it.
It was quite a privilege to be part of it.
And it's anyway.
That so beautifully goes back to what you were saying earlier, though, about what you've always believed from the art car on. And I remember that you were teaching that to your students even when I was a student, that that art is a thing that happens on a social level, that it can be created for social change, that you have to just get out there and do it. And I remember becoming really engaged with the notion of something I never would have thought of, and that was something around performance. That was just something that sort of puts you out there. And so seeing this and hearing you say, it's that moment that you realize that art really matters. It's like, I get that. And knowing you and knowing, where you've come from and what you're pursuing, that I got to imagine that's the greatest moment in all of this.
This project was a real watershed moment.
Yeah.
It felt like a culmination of everything that I kind of espoused and believed and held dear as an artist. That you can take trash, you can turn it into something profound, you can insert it into a context where it makes a difference. And I tell you, my greatest joy was reconnecting with this neighborhood, because there's a soul food restaurant around the corner from where this cat was that I used to go. My dear friend Beth Reset turned me on to, and I used to stop by because I love the food, and that place is still in business. And when we were there doing the cat, I popped in there. And, of course, I'm like, hey, I'm the dude that brought the Panther. And
all of a sudden you're eating for free.
We're just like, thank you.
Yeah.
And for me as an artist, that's it, man. It's just, God, that's what you want, is that human connection.
So we have another viewer that so again, if you guys have made comments in the chat and I haven't hit them, I apologize. I'm trying to get through to them. By the way, hi, M Galleries. It's nice to see you here. But one of our viewers, One Good King, says there's an interesting power dynamic between you two. How does that translate to the final realization of your vision?
What do you the power dynamic? Yeah. Well, we've been together for 27 years.
Yep.
We raised 2 children. They're adults.
Yeah.
They're both, have full-time jobs. So,
I tell you, Lisa, we've collaborated from the very beginning, right? We got together. She had an old beat up Tercel from Syracuse, New York that was rusting out. And I convinced her to, turn it into an art car. And we've been collaborating ever since.
Yep.
But together, we have been able to build, my personal art practice into a collaborative art practice that employs, 3 full-time guys in the shop. And, it's a big deal. We're doing things together that I couldn't do alone. And so the power of sort of teamwork, you see it here with you and Terri, the large glass. It's just such a beautiful expression of both of you. Collaboration is so important. I mean, I know a lot of artists work alone, but not really, right? We're always working with our gallery, with our audience. Art is about trying to make connections.
And while we're on that subject, can you throw props or talk a little bit about your crew and who you manage and who helps you out with this stuff?
This guy here, Zach Greer, is we call him our badassery specialist. He's been with DKLA Design since the very beginning, since before even DKLA Design. And all three guys that work for us, and we've had some other guys on our staff that left Santa Fe and went back to their hometowns and gone different directions, and they're all amazing artists, and super bought into the vision of what we're trying to put out there, with the recycled work and with the nature connection, and it's so incredible to have, these guys have our back, and that's really what we need to create these sculptures and to bring them around the country.
Yeah. And it is, I think of this practice now as a studio, and it's DKLA Design, but it's really that encompasses, right at the current moment, 5 individuals, that are really all sort of one mind. And I love that as an artist. Yeah, it's sort of, a lot of it is grown out of my past work, but we're really working in a very collaborative way, and it's I love it, we couldn't do it without these guys. They bring their talents.
They're so dialed in.
They share the vision.
Right.
Yeah.
We talk about it constantly.
Right.
And they're just amazing people. Yeah.
There was another question in here. One question we always tend to ask on this show is like, what do you listen to? Like, what do you like to listen to?
What's the atmosphere?
Everybody wants to know what music artists listen to. So what are you into these days? Like,
that's so great. Don's like, well, especially because we got the crew, he's got, just a very eclectic, very broad,
revolving DJ crew, we and Coachella's been a great connection for us too, because we get to go and participate in this event where the premier music festival in the world.
What are you listening to today is really the question.
We like a lot of
that works. What are you listening to now?
Emil and the Sniffers.
Emil and the Sniffers. I don't know who this
Nick
is.
Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Nice.
I don't know.
Today I was listening to Macy Gray, so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's all over the place. I mean, Kamesi, Washington, we do a little jazz, we hip hop, funk. It's
good.
This is a piece out of Car Hoods that's for a fire station actually in Albuquerque. And so the Phoenix is really that symbol for the firefighters.
And these, once again, are recycled car hoods. I mean, we were kind of chosen for this project because I think the city, what we're finding is that a lot of entities, a lot of groups that are commissioning work, they want, work that kind of reflects these values of kind of reusing, repurposing materials. And that's a big part of what we do. And the city was very interested in us because we used recycled car hoods. And we liked how the recycling also sort of it seemed to fit with this idea of firefighters, this idea of what they do. They rush into these horrific situations to try to end a disaster and turn it into a continuation of life. And so the Phoenix seemed like a real good fit, and a Phoenix made out of car hoods. So this is all factory paint.
Huh. I love the way you sort of deal with the color in that. I want to take a couple minutes just to try and catch up on people's comments and questions. Earlier, Bill was asking how tall the Mustang was, and I totally missed it when you were standing in front of...
7 feet tall.
How tall?
27 feet.
Wow.
44 feet long. I tell you, I've been up on the back of that thing, and it's pretty scary.
I'll bet.
It's kind of like, whoa.
If you own a Coachella, don't do that. Don't climb the horse.
Don't climb on the sculptures, please.
Don't do it.
Let's see. What else have I missed along the way? A few things. Yeah, so Audrey was asking about music in the studio. We started covering that. Let's see. Hold on. I know there's a few things. Oh, earlier Ben Hagenbush was asking about the texture in the gorilla's face and how you achieved that. So just from a process standpoint, any thoughts on that real quick?
Yeah, sure. Most of the animals we do, the faces are really central, right? Because that's the eyeballs, and that kind of eye-to-eye connection is what really captures a viewer. And so those elements of these sculptures are done in new steel, so we order in new steel and we forge it, hand pound it, cut it, and weld it. So it's all continuously welded, but it's a lot of handwork, and just shaping this material. I used to do a lot of work in clay. I love that fluidity of clay, and I've been able to kind of sort of transfer that into steel. So this is all new steel that is welded, forged, pounded, ground down. We do a lot of grinding.
Don is the steel whisperer. He's the steel whisperer.
Yeah, there's a question in the chat right now asking if you're hands-on artists, and I was just going to answer that one outright. That's an absolute yes, and that I remember once, Don, when you were when we wanted to have a metal casting furnace at the community college, and it's not something we could get. So you just made one, and you did it through several iterations. The first one was built into the ground, but there was too much of a loss of heat, and then you built it into a ceramic lined or a kiln brick lined barrel. I mean, it was just brilliant.
Love to make forges.
Yeah.
Love to make forges. Yeah, it's very, very hands-on.
Yeah, and I'm in the studio. I like to lead by example. It's once again, coming back to the crew, we have this very loyal crew, and I think, they pick up on the energy. I've been very upfront with them from the very beginning. I'm like, it takes tremendous focus. This isn't just a job. I need buy-in. I need support. And but to sort of demonstrate that personally is a big deal for me,
Sure.
And so I'm in there with the grinder. Nobody grinds as good as me, much to my frustration.
Yeah, he's the old guy, and so I am trying to get him to put down the grinder
Take it
every
easy
now
a little bit.
His elbows are like this. I do not grind. I mean, we design together. I research and write proposals for public art, basically.
Right.
And get in the pipeline for one, then it's a conversation, it's a collaboration, it's what's the fit for this, what's the right image that's going to resonate in this particular community or this particular location. And but Don does the drawing, and I'll tell you, he draws something and then the sculpture in 3D looks just like the drawing. It's amazing.
Wow.
That's beautiful. And I do just, my love is moving materials. I mean, it's why I if we weren't having success, I think I would still be doing this because I just love shaping materials. It's a meditation for me. It's my Zen moment, and I'm I feel very lucky to live the life where I get to do this and just be in this place where I'm shaping material.
Well,
hammer.
Yeah, and I love that. And I have to tell you, I mean, the comments and the thanks that are going through the chat room right now, thanking you for this tonight. There's a lot of people that are really loving this. Bill Mackel did say he had to run, but he wanted to thank both of you and say it was great to see you. Let's see, John Park, Jess Park earlier asked where you source the hoods from, but John Park is also asking, it's probably a little late to make this specific comment about an earlier work, but I really loved how the horse looks, and it was just about to make a left-hand turn. It seems like it would be difficult to take something that at that scale and have it look lithe and realistic. And that's a beautiful comment.
That piece was so challenging because I tell you, we did not, our studio is not big enough. That thing was not together in the shop. It was like built in parts and was not seen as a whole until we moved it out to the yard. And it was terrifying to me because horses, horse people know horses, and there's no, it's like the human figure, you can't fudge it. There's no, people were so familiar. And so it really, had to be, I won't say it's 100%, but it had to be pretty damn close.
Yeah.
And it was a terrifying project for me because once again, it was built in parts and pieces and put together later.
Yeah.
And, gesture, I mean, essentially we're figurative artists, and
Totally.
So gesture and pose is everything for us.
Well, again, we want to respect your time, and we loved talking to you tonight. Thank you so
I can't tell you how much it means to us for you to bring this community together. I want to just say thank you for everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Todd and Terri, for doing this. It's an amazing show.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah, and if
that
you
means
guys
a lot.
have something coming up in the future, just let us know. Hopefully we can have you back on. So.
Yeah. There's a lot of thanks. Don and Lisa, it's so in awe of you both. Thank you so much. Loved it. Don and Lisa, thank you. Todd and Terri, of course. Yeah, we'll save that for later. Thank you. Joseph Barbache says the show is a great way to end my day in the studio. Thanks for that. Great show, guys. So you guys were awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Show, guys.
David Backus is commenting.
Awesome.
We will talk to you very soon. Thanks, you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to pop back over here, and should we do our closing? We haven't done our closing music in a while.
We haven't had
right?
our closing music.
So let's fire up the closing music. So anyway, that was awesome.
That was awesome.
Right? I love those guys. And
I did too.
And I can't say enough how much, like, I'm on Instagram and all of a sudden the next thing is showing up in their feed that is just like, oh my God, how big is it going to get?
And just the attention to detail, even on that scale, because you think about the horse, and even like when you're looking at it, like he's considering the patina and the way it's going to wear down, like so much to think about and appreciate. So
yeah, completely. Yeah. Anyway, everybody, we loved having you along again. We have some awesome artists coming up, so make sure to stay tuned for that. I promise not to screw up the newsletter next week. I will, I was just going to say, Joseph Barbaccia, I'm going to get you that link for the newsletter. And don't forget, Jim Osmond's opening at Mackenzie Fine Art tomorrow night, 55 Orchard Street, 6 to 8. I will do my damnedest to be there. Anyway, let's get this out.
Oh dear.
Get out the margarita you didn't drink.
That's
sorry.
Fine. I drank
That's totally fine.
most of this.
So let's see. Episode 80 next week.
Yeah.
Jane Fine. Jane Fine's a great painter. We cannot wait to talk to her, and we're super excited for that. So please join us on that one. We're going to say cheers to you and get off this thing so we can go talk to Don and Lisa a little bit more because we know they're hanging out in the green room.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Thanks again. We will see you next week.
Yes.
Cheers to all of you. Take care.